What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get your music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and all the places you need your music to be. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings in-store 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. Fastest payouts. They help out with automatic splits, cover song clearance, and all kinds of other amazing tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and really appreciate their business model that offers more features than any other distributor at the most affordable price possible for solo musicians, bands, studio artists, DJs, and any other creators that are producing music in their home, and they also offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers to offer creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 per month, and even their top tier breaks down to only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is that they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off your first year of membership, making their already affordable services even cheaper for you. Check out the link in the episode notes. I also put it in my Instagram bio in the link tree. Click that link and it'll give you 30% off your first year of service. Super stoked to have DistroKid sponsoring the podcast and can't thank them enough for their longtime support of this thing. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Drops. Drops are an Oregon-based edible company and one of my go-tos when I'm heading into the dispensary. Their consistency and price point keeps them in my regular rotation of gummies. I love their 100 milligram canisters that have the little 5 milligram bites in there. They make it easy to monitor dosage and not get unexpectedly blasted. The chill ones are my favorite. They're this banging watermelon flavor, and one thing that I love about these edibles is that they taste great. Sometimes you get some edibles that pack a punch but taste horrible, and Drops I have to be careful with because they taste so good that I just want to eat them like a bag of Sour Patch Kids. With Drops, you can choose your edibles based on how you want to feel. That's possible because Drops are made with live rosin, a solventless full spectrum cannabis concentrate. As a full spectrum concentrate, rosin contains the full array of psychoactive compounds in cannabis, which work together to give each strain its unique effect. All of their cannabis is flash frozen and processed into that live rosin. The flash freezing prevents plant material from decomposing and preserves terpenes that evaporate during the traditional drying and curing processes. They come in 10 different flavors and strains to choose from, including several CBD variations. You can find Drops at your favorite local Oregon dispensary. Just tap into the link in the episode notes to find a supplier in your area. Big thanks to Drops for their support. Let's start the episode.
Looking down at the corner
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning into the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you every Tuesday. And if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so. And that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, helping strangers find the podcast, and just a great way to raise the visibility of this thing on the international and national levels, helping new people discover the podcast, and just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. If you're not listening on Apple, just hit like, follow, subscribe wherever you are listening from. Tell a friend about the podcast. Tell a friend about the monthly playlist that I've been dropping every first of the month. Those are available on Spotify and Apple. Pretty spread out genre-wise, just a snapshot of what I'm listening to throughout the month, things that are making it into my DJ sets, and it's very wide genre-wise, so check those out. Links in the episode notes. Stoked to get into episode 300. and 54 of this thing. This week on the podcast, we've got one of my favorite bands that I found out about in 2022, and that is Good Looks from Austin, Texas. So rad to sit down for an hour or so and chat with these dudes about how this band got going and the creative dynamics involved, as well as their debut record, Bummer Year, which is available on vinyl and everywhere else that you listen to music. I met these dudes back in November of 2022 in Boise, Idaho, while doing a tour managing gig for my friend Isabel, and she had the opportunity to open for Good Looks in Boise, and I was already a fan of their music. And when we met them that night, they were just so incredibly kind and fun to be around, and we all got to know each other a bit that night in Boise, and then went our separate ways and have kept up with one another since then. And I'd been wanting to have them on the podcast for a while, so it was rad to get to reunite with them in Boise last week at the Treefort Music Festival. I was very stoked when I saw that they were on the lineup. So we recorded this in their hotel lobby in Boise, and it was just a lot of laughs, and appreciated getting the opportunity to learn more about their band and where this music comes from. So we're going to get into that momentarily. If you're new to the cast, go back and check out the last couple weeks of conversations, especially if you're a fan of Good Looks. I think Kendall Lujan and Desolation Horse, who were the previous week's guests, are making music that would be mutually appreciated by fans of Good Looks. And as mentioned before, that Good Looks Bummer Year record is out now on vinyl via Keeled Scales Records, who puts out so much great stuff, including another one of my favorite records that I found from last year, and that is from Sun June, who is also an Austin, Texas based band, and I've listened to that Somewhere record from them pretty obsessively, and I got to see them for the first time at Treefort there at the Treefort Music Hall, and that was really sweet to see them in that brand new venue. So check out that Keeled Scales record label. Check out Good Looks. Big thanks to Tyler, Jake, Harrison, and Phil for jumping on the mics with me. All the links will be in the episode notes, and we're going to kick off the episode with the first track off the Bummer Year record. It's called Almost Automatic. Let's do the damn thing.
Headed out to some West Texas town, pull a car over, watch the sun go down. Baby, I'm just happy I could be here with you. Try not to race it, although my heart wants to. Coming out here was a bad idea. You got trouble written on your lens, it's so clear. See it in your face as you were looking at some guy, being glad with who you got, or something you ain't never tried. Wasted on my front porch and I just feel this trouble I got myself in. It's hard to tell where your heart stops and my heart begins.
Excited to have the opportunity to hang out with you guys here. Before we get into the creative dynamics of the band and how this thing got going, I just wanted to gush a little bit about y'all and my experience with meeting you guys back in November when Isabeau and I came out on tour and she got to support you guys that night here in Boise at the Neurolux. And I don't know what your guys' experience is with, playing with random people along the road, but it doesn't always feel like the warmest experience right away. And I think as soon as we walked in, you guys were just all the sweetest. And I know, Harrison, you weren't part of that adventure, but I would assume that you're also here because you're a super good dude along with being a good musician. But you all were just so warm and just immediately hey, do you guys want to get dinner together? And we just kind of had the whole day to hang out before the show, and it was an impactful experience. We talked about, Isabeau and I talked a lot about our encounter with you guys as we finished out that road trip. So just wanted to say what a positive experience that was, and just a sweet way to get to know you guys. And I was already a fan of the music going into that night. I was pretty familiar with the Bummer Year records, so it's also very rad when you find out people that you enjoy their art and also enjoy their company.
Man, hell yeah, that was it was really great hanging out with you guys too. That was a lot of fun. Definitely a highlight for us on that run of the shows up to that point had been so, and so that was really fun hanging.
Yeah. It's just doesn't always feel like it works out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at least for me, I'm the least traveled in this situation. But it feels like I've been really enjoying the amount of people that we've been meeting along the way on the road. It feels like for the most part we've been able to make some great connections with people. Yeah. I can't think of a situation in my mind where a band was standoffish or anything,
for sure.
But I can understand how I could feel that way.
Yeah. Or just I don't know, made sense that I wanted to keep up with you guys after.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I come across these dudes again.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So, but yeah, stoked to dive into things a bit. Tyler, why don't you talk to me first about when you first started songwriting? Has this been something you've been doing since you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I started learning how to play guitar a few times when I was a teenager, but it kind of stuck when I think I was 16, and really just within a week or two of picking up the guitar, it just clicked. I was starting to write songs, and I played piano before that, but never really made sense to me from a songwriting perspective, but something about the rhythm of the guitar or whatever just made sense. And so yeah, I've been writing for almost 20 years now.
Yeah. Did you gravitate towards the writing part pretty right away far and opposed to learning covers or learning how to shred?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned a few covers on Ultimate Guitar, the tab website. That was definitely part of the journey. And we also had me and my buddy Sean had the Guitar World magazine, so we'd learn both parts to like every Stroke song that they put in there, and but yeah, for the most part, it was just immediately kind of about songwriting, and learning the instruments always kind of been second to writing for me. So I'm still I'm 20 years in playing guitar, but probably don't have 20 years to show for it.
Did you always feel like pretty comfortable with sharing your tunes in front of people?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did. Because those first ones are real bad.
That's a part of the deal.
Yeah, it is. But I always, it's good to go through that when you're a teenager and you have the ultimate confidence in your ability. So I definitely, like early on, I was doing like a weekly residency at a coffee shop in the mall in my like small hometown. So I definitely was like performing out for a long time, and playing some bad songs in front of people.
Doing it alone, solo, a lot.
Yeah, I had a band in high school too called Casual Friday, but I definitely played a lot of solo gigs too. Yeah.
And my understanding, you and Jake have been playing the longest together, right? Out of the band.
That's right. Yeah, I guess just barely too, because we started playing together in, I think, 2017, and Phil joined the band in 2018. So it's Jake and I have definitely been playing the longest, but not by much.
Yeah. And is everybody in the band then playing like their primary instrument in this setup, like the instrument that you're most comfortable on?
I think that's true. I know Phil is a multi-instrumentalist. He plays guitar.
No, but it's pretty much just drums.
Drums was the first instrument.
I think I mean when I was a kid, I probably played the guitar first. My dad showed me probably 3 chords,
Yeah.
And then I started percussion in elementary school, so you kind of get to learn how to play, like the bell set or glockenspiel, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what made me figure out, or like kind of guided me to figure out like learning how to play the piano. Harry, you want to?
I'm one of the classic tales of guitarist turned bassist.
Okay.
But I've been playing bass in bands since like 2015, so it's definitely something that I feel pretty natural and comfortable with, but definitely started on guitar and then moved into bass because bands need bassists.
That's true.
Do you feel like that's your preference at this point too? Is playing bass?
I do enjoy. I love bass. It's a cool instrument.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
So what drew the two of you initially into having the opportunity to play music together?
I'll probably tell the story wrong, but we met each other at the Kerrville Folk Festival.
Okay.
And I felt like, at least in my brain, the way that this goes out, the way that I remember this story is that I kept being like, hey, I should play in a band with you, Tyler. I should play guitar in your band. And Tyler's band was only a 3-piece at the time. I think it took a little bit of talking into. Yeah, is that about right?
I don't remember you asking a bunch of times.
I don't think it was like every day.
Yeah. I just like needed a lot of control, and definitely was like resistant to having another guitar player in a band for a long time. So
yeah,
it took some getting used to, and then Jake got better too. Like I feel like Jake was always good at guitar, and then all of a sudden he was just like really, really good, and so it made a lot of sense.
You guys were running like in familiar circles with one another and like seeing each other's bands play.
Yeah, we knew each other for a couple of years before we started playing together. We actually met each other at the Kerrville Folk Festival, but kind of the way that we became close friends was at this other festival that doesn't exist anymore, but it was down at the beach in South Padre in Texas, and we were both playing it, and it just so happened that they put all the artists in these like condos for the week or whatever, and just so happened they randomly put us together. I think because we both we dressed similarly and we kind of, they're like, hey, these guys both look stupid. We should put them together. They'll probably get along. And
they're not hippies.
so yeah, that's kind of how we just kind of got to know each other over the course of that weekend and then became good friends.
Yeah.
I felt like that, like what happened, and this feels like this is the memory in my head, but me and my friend Steven had come down and we'd opened up the door into the condo and you were like playing guitar. And I want to say the way I remember it was like, hey, you play guitar, right? Tyler's like talking to me. He's like, you play guitar. What do you think about this song? And he starts playing the song like out of nowhere.
Just real earnestly as soon as you walk in the door. Like, I got something to share with you, man.
I mean, I want to say it's something it's a song that's on Bummer Year now. Because I think you just gotten back from like recording the first Negative Space record. Uh-huh. And I want to say it was like something like Balmarais or Almost Automatic.
It's one of those two. I have no idea which one, but it's one of the two.
That was like literally the first song you played. I was like, wow, that was great.
Does that sound in line for you, Tyler? Like something you would do as soon as, Jake opened the door, like, I'm going to share this with you, man.
I don't think that's something I would normally do, but I think I was just in like a really kind of broken and vulnerable place. I had just like exited a long-term relationship that summer and moved houses. I had lived with this partner and then gone through like another like fling of a relationship, kind of like rebound type of situation, but also was kind of tumultuous. And yeah, I don't know. I think I was just like kind of in a wide open sort of mindset at that point, but definitely sharing and connecting with people is not my general mode of
yeah, I would like Tyler does not do that.
It's kind of the opposite of how I am.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And Jake, were you just like you were in your mind bugging Tyler a bit to play guitar in his band? So were you pretty drawn into his songwriting?
I was already a fanboy. I had known of Tyler for a long time, and I had known of his music and stuff, and like I remember we like the festival that we initially met at is in my hometown, Kerrville, and like it's mostly, a lot of the people that normally hang out there. I mean, but most of them are of the hippie variety, not fully, but like I feel like when I first met Tyler and our friends David and Lunchbox, I was like, oh, I've like finally found the people I abide with, and I was like intimidated by Tyler initially. And so yeah, when he started playing that song, when I walked into the condo, I was like, I didn't know how to react. I was like, this is insane, and the song was amazing. I was like, yeah, we ended up just like hanging real tight that weekend, and just doing we stayed up and watched the sunrise on the beach.
On the beach, yeah.
Yeah.
Very romantic.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
How romantic.
Yeah.
And Jake, you come into things like as a songwriter yourself, as well as someone that's really comfortable playing lead.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't start like really fully doing like lead guitar stuff until I moved to Austin.
Okay.
But because I grew up playing bass, and I played mandolin in a few bands when I was younger too. But I started like getting into my with my band. I have like a power trio, and so I was like kind of like doing a lot of like in between singer songwriter and melodic guitar playing kind of stuff. Like with like, it wasn't until I joined this band called Continental Drift in Austin that was like a kind of like an Afro-Latin beat band that I like really started getting into lead guitar more fully, and I was really wanting to play, do that with I've never done like what I do with Good Looks now. I'd never done it before in another band where it's like I'm contributing in tandem with like somebody else's songwriting.
Gotcha. Was that like maybe some of your apprehension at first too, Tyler? Like you hadn't like really seen Jake do what he does in Good Looks? Would support that, or was it just more about the control thing that you were talking about?
I think it's mostly just me. I think over time I've slowly, like through therapy and stuff, kind of opened up and just allowed more people in and said yes more often and that kind of thing. So I think it had more to do with me than it really did with Jake.
And what was the project like before Good Looks that you were doing, Tyler? Like,
well, so the history of that's kind of interesting. I made a record in 2015. Actually, a lot of this goes through the Kerrville Folk Festival, but my friends Buck and Adrian go out there, and they started a band that's Big Thief now, and I had asked them to make a record with me, and or help me make a record, and so in 2015 in the summer I went up to New York, and they kind of we made this record of my songs, and they produced it and played on it, and then James, the drummer from Big Thief, was the recording engineer, and he played drums on a couple songs too. And so, you know, I got that back, and I kind of put a band together to support the release of that record and kind of play those songs out. Although it was a very different band than it felt very different than the actual recording.
okay.
And so it was a 3-piece for a long time. I would say it was like kind of surfy in certain ways, and just a little bit more bare bones, with me doing like all the lead stuff kind of in between singing.
Yeah. So were you seeking something more after getting to play that stuff live, as far as like why you made this switch and how things came about as forming Good Looks?
It kind of came together really organically, actually. There had been a brief period of like where the band had kind of fallen apart, and you know, maybe like 4 or 5 months of kind of just nothing. And one of my friends, like we had a drummer lined up, and we just kind of like all came together at one time, sort of organically. It was a different drummer before Phil, and different bass player. Yeah, just a different time period, but it all kind of just coalesced at a certain time. So it happened pretty organically.
How long was it before you made the Bummer Year record, from the time you kind of got things going?
Yes. So that was interesting too. So I would say kind of the story of this band starts probably in 2017, when that 4-piece came together first with Jake, because I think Jake is such a huge part of the sound of Good Looks. It's the combination of my songwriting and his guitar playing. You know, it sounded totally different before that. So it kind of starts there, and then we did a 3-week long tour that year, but then we lost our rhythm section, or I guess we just lost our drummer. And so in August of 2018, we made that record, or we went in and recorded that record, and we're fully done with it by 2019. And we started shopping it around and found a home for it on Keeled Scales. And, you know, just as soon as we were kind of like ramping up to put it out, the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And the record label didn't want to put it out in that time period. And we also just felt like, what do we do if we can't tour this thing? And so we just sat on it, and it turned out to be a good decision. And during the pandemic, we changed our band name to Good Looks and kind of rebranded or whatever, and then you know, have put the record out.
That was a whole process, was a name change.
That's true too.
Also, Phil joined the band like what, 3 weeks before?
2 weeks.
2 weeks before the recording.
That's right.
Of the Bummer Year record.
Yeah, because you're on the record, right? Yeah. That's what the credits say anyway.
Yeah. I was actually on at the end of a tour with a band called Talkies, and that band was actually that was the last like few shows we were playing together, because we were dropping off Ray Serafin, who we were dropping him off in Vallejo.
Singer, right? Was this the singer?
The songwriter.
The songwriter, singer, guitar player. So that band was kind of like coming to an end.
Okay.
And I didn't really know Tyler or Jake. I kind of knew our old bass player through a bar that I worked at, and I saw on an Instagram post they were like, "Hey, we're looking for a drummer," and I had seen. I think I had seen Negative Space at a house party. I think one of your old house parties.
That's right.
And had been listening to that CD a bunch, and I was just kind of like, of course. I cold called him and showed up, and we jammed, you know, drank some beers, and shout
I
shit.
was really excited about it because Phil played in, I knew of Phil just because of the bands he played in.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that guy from Talkies and
yeah.
all these other bands, like I want that guy to play in the band.
So, but yeah, it was really interesting. And then like, we kind of had a hang and everything was cool. And then I think that's when you're like, also, Tyler's like, by the way, we have this studio time booked, so that's in 2 weeks. So get ready to, record all that stuff.
And the deal with that was that the guy making the record, Dan, he also played drums, so he was kind of our backup. It was like, if we don't find someone in time, we'll have him play on the record. But obviously that's not ideal because he's the guy pressing the buttons and stuff.
So were the songs that became Bummer Year, were those songs that you had the opportunity to play a lot live prior to Phil joining the band? Like, were there already a lot of, like, the drum parts were pretty much in place even like as you came into the band?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he like totally wrote new parts to the songs. And I would say that I think I was just thinking about this because we were having this conversation yesterday. I think 3 of the songs we for sure played out. And then I think the other 4, well, 3 of them, 3 and 3, and then 1 of them I'm uncertain. But like 21 and Vision Boards and Bummer Year were the newest songs. Like I had written all of those like within, the 6 months before going in to make that record. And then the other Almost Automatic, Balmorhea and Walker Lake were all older songs, mostly from like 2015 probably. And then First Crossing is the one that's in between those songs. I don't know. I have no idea whether we played it before Phil or not. I was just thinking about that.
I think
that was the
that
one
we
that
did.
we like jammed on the day that I came over.
Yeah.
Because I think I have like a phone recording of it or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we played that one before Phil was in.
It might have been something like this is like a newer song. I remember, obviously when I came over, I was just listening to the record, so I was just like kind of under the impression like, oh, well, like we'll probably play one of these songs, and
Right.
We're like, no,
that's not
here's
the
these
band
songs
anymore,
I've never heard before.
You know that band that you really liked? That's not this band.
It's like, so I remember y'all saying something like that was like a newer song or something that was in between or something.
I'm almost certain we played it at the Cactus Cafe when we did that.
It's
full band
possible.
show. Yeah.
I think I may have played it solo. This doesn't matter. This is boring. This is boring.
Yeah, this is boring. Yeah, this is not
sorry about
entertaining.
I'll decide that in the editing bay. I'll see what's boring then.
Hill country, bluey sky, rich folks come out here to die. They ship off the black sheep kids, may rehab, keep their habits hid, or at least to shove them down so they can stay above the ground. But I come out here to sing, to learn, to love, to swim, to cling to everything that keeps me breathing. Keeps me breathing. I love you, I love you, I love you, I do. And I'm sorry sometimes I can't tell that it's true. And I push you, I push you, I push you away. It's hard to get love when you only gotten pain from it. Love you, I love you, I love you, I do. And I'm sorry sometimes I can't tell that it's
Phil, is that helpful for you, like getting into the band, having the opportunity that like you were going to record in a few weeks, but you were going to have the opportunity to like kind of express your vision of the drums and not just have to walk into something that had a bunch of predetermined
For sure,
parts?
Yeah, it gives you a little bit, it's definitely a little more like nerve-wracking, but at the same time it's comfortable because you do get to be, I got a chance to be more creative, and it's just like, hey, you don't have to play it this way, just come up with something.
Yeah.
And
You have to play pop drums.
they liked what I did.
Yeah.
Stress.
Creatively it seemed to like make sense as well as the hang was good.
Yeah, Phil has a knack for just playing parts that are interesting and good kind of right away, which is awesome because we, or at least I don't speak drums, so I can't really I can't give a lot of direction. So it helps that Phil's just kind of like immediately on board and knows what we're trying to do.
Yeah, especially having a little brother that plays drums in my band. I'm trying to unlearn not looking at the drummer with a cross-eyed face when they do something I don't like. And Phil just does it automatically.
Yeah.
What do you think Dan brought out of that record as far as him producing or mixing and engineering that thing?
Yeah, I mean, Robert, our previous bass player, called him the fifth band member, and I think that's very true. Dan's got a great ear. He adds a lot of parts in the mixing process too. There's like an organ part on First Crossing. There's a lot of shakers. There's, just
He
these
loves
like
the shakers.
kind of these
No,
kind
he
of
definitely put his like little thumbprint on there that
Right.
elevated every single song.
Yeah, he adds a lot of glue to the thing. He like a lot of the intangible like layers he can kind of paint with, and definitely a huge part of why the record sounds the way that it does. But also at the same time, he doesn't really have any ego around it. Like working with Dan, he requires a lot of control during the recording process and the mixing process. But then afterwards, when you're listening back to it, if you're like, no, I don't really like that part, if you could take that out, that would be great. He doesn't have any sort of ego about it. So he's kind of a dream to work with.
Was there much writing that happened like within the studio sessions, or was everything pretty hammered in for what y'all wanted to do?
Yeah, pretty much none at all. As far as the songs were all pretty much done. I think like some of the crafting happened with like lead guitar parts and that kind of thing. I would say that was some of that stuff wasn't like fully written on everything, but for the most part, we were just ready to go. We had, limited time, limited money, and so we try to be as ready as possible for that first record for sure.
Talk to me about the way like Jake helps shape your songwriting as far as you speaking to what he brings out of things.
Yeah, I write the songs alone, kind of like I write the chord progressions and the words by myself, and then we arrange as a band. But Jake adds things to the songs that I would like never have thought or put into them. I mean, like I think at their base, a lot of these songs are just kind of folky Americana songs, but when Jake adds guitar to it, it turns in, and Phil too, for that matter, on drums, like they turn into these like bigger rock and roll songs with, kind of wild guitar parts. I really think that they make the songs more interesting than they would be otherwise. Like I think the songs have good lyrics and are, there's like catchy melodies to them, but I think adding them in is such a big part of why the songs are enjoyable to listen to, probably.
That's really sweet.
Thanks, bud. God dang.
I would imagine there's just like a level of trust with them now at this point too, where it's maybe a little bit easier to just be like, these guys are going to help make the thing better.
Yeah. Phil, yes. Jake, Jake and I like really sit down and hash
some
it
battles.
Not battles.
Not battles.
No,
It's
but
just, the guitar part operates in the same space as the vocal.
Okay.
And so Jake plays, Jake and Phil are both very feelings-based players, and I'm a very like measured and thoughtful, not that they're not thoughtful, but just I'm very left brain. I feel like they tend to be a little bit more right brain. And so sometimes there's just a battle there of like what fits, what doesn't fit. And I come from this place of like analyzing everything. And so I have a lot of opinions about Jake's guitar parts.
But it's one of those things too, is that because I know like we both know kind of what we're dealing with each other. It's like I give like when Tyler has like a suggestion or like an adjustment on something, like I try not to get too much in the way of it.
Yeah.
I think the only point of contention really that I have for the band sometimes is because I'm too loud on stage.
Yeah. The stage volume can be kind of wild sometimes.
So you two will sit down quite a bit then and chop it up about what's going to work and the adjustments that need to be made.
It feels like it happens pretty quickly, honestly.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the midst of practice. We're like, oh, like maybe it's just. I feel like it's on one of the newer songs we were talking about. I think it's Self-Destructor. We were talking about like initially I was doing like kind of like an overlaying like a solo thing in this break.
Yeah.
But instead we decided, like Tyler made a suggestion about like either like laying off there or like playing more to this vocal melody that we ended up recording on the second record.
Yeah.
And it worked out like a lot better.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need to have that direction because I can go just off. With reckless abandonment sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and also Jake's a very improvisational player in general, and so a lot of it's just like I like that improvisation, I don't like that one. Like a lot of that kind of just like that thing, not this thing, sort of selection process.
Yeah, man. I just appreciate the hell out of your lyrics, man. They're just like seem to resonate like very heavy and give me a lot to think about when listening to the music, which I think is like a pretty good measure of impact something can have.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I noticed that from like the get-go. It's like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy this dude's storytelling. What do you think is like most informed your style of delivering things?
I think a lot about early on. I wrote this song when I was in high school about an ex-girlfriend, and I guess just after high school, but there was some like dishonesty in the song in a certain way, and for whatever reason that song became very popular in my hometown and my like scene, and I got stuck singing it over and over again, and I just really hated that. Like it made me just kind of sick in my stomach to have to sing this like not truthful song. So I think moving forward from that, my effort was always just to write as honestly and as openly as possible. I also think like there's some amount of fear that I'm going to sound like an idiot. And so if I write very literally, then I know that it's just tied to reality. And so it actually happened. And so I write very literally. I write, things that have occurred, and I try to do it in language that makes sense to me, and maybe just kind of like mess around with words along the way, and try not to use any words that are too large. Kind of.
I think I like really love the balance between like this thing that can sound very specific, like you're talking about this very specific moment in your life, but it's also very vague, maybe to the listener, because it's not, I don't know.
That's true.
Just like completely detailed in some way where you're like, oh, this is exactly what this dude was going through. It's like you can kind of apply your own. It gives a lot of room for interpretation, I think, along with being very specific at the same time.
Right. Well, and I think like, as I've written more songs too, what I realized is that the more you can focus on the moment, like the more you can bring the magnifying glass in, the more you have to write about. Like you can write about these really mundane type of things, and it expands your possibilities, kind of.
If my parents won't shut up, let them know that I tried my best, that I did the best I could have done with the demons off my back. Let them know that I tried my best, even if they kill me. And if there really is a God, let them know that I tried my best with the hands that He gave me. Until the voice inside my head, shut the fuck up, 'cause I tried my best and I am not listening. I am deserving of your love. I am deserving of your love. I am deserving of your. I am deserving of your love. I am deserving of your love. I am deserving of your love.
And is that, do you like to have all of the lyrics done before you share it with somebody in the band, or is it something you like to bounce some ideas off of? Like,
I typically have a verse and a chorus at least before I bring it to the band, but a lot of times I'll bring it about halfway through because I like to see how it's feeling as an arrangement before finishing it. Sometimes it can kind of inform what happens in that second verse or the way that I sing something, or, you know, I like to, I don't always finish everything, right? And so sometimes it's helpful to know if it's feeling good already in the band, it helps me kind of finish it sometimes.
Yeah. And for you guys instrumentally, are you along the way paying attention to lyrics to see how the instrumentation can like complement those things, or is it just all about feel?
I'm just vibing it and feeling it. But I do, you know, really enjoy it, like, you know, as like, you know, hearing the song more and more, I like do pay attention to the lyrics a lot. And
Phil, I mean, I don't want to speak for Harrison, but at least for me, it's like Phil's definitely the one that has like, you seem much more attuned to like having the lyrics in your head.
Yeah,
Jake doesn't know what the hell I'm saying to this day. Like, he has no idea what the lyrics are.
Jake's never heard the record.
I mean, no, I have. I'm always singing it phonetically.
He's like, oh, my guitar part sounds really good.
Fuck off.
I mean,
it's so funny.
That's something that like I was drawn to when I first saw you know, you at the house party, and like why I got the CD and was listening to it so much is because I just like the style of delivery, and I'm sure that's why you probably enjoyed it too, seeing it for the first time. Just like the delivery, the wordplay, like just everything that the song is about, and the voice. Yeah, it was just like after we start building a song and playing it more, I started paying attention to that, and you know.
Yeah, if you watch us play live, Phil will be singing along usually the whole time. So Phil definitely knows the words.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think honestly,
no microphone now.
I'm actually like a pretty big fan of, like, as an audience member, to see somebody else in the band that doesn't have a microphone singing along the whole time. I fucking love that because I think it just like does show how invested you are in the tunes, or just like how much you enjoy what you're doing. It seems like when you're making that effort, even though it's not on a microphone.
Yeah. I'm having fun.
This is a great example.
Having fun. Yeah.
This is a great example, honestly, of this situation. Just recently, we got nominated for this award in Austin, for the Austin Music Awards.
Not just any award, but best rock band.
Best rock band.
In the entire city.
And I wish you could see his cheese and
live music capital of the world.
Oh, so good.
Not only nominated, but won. Okay.
But won.
Done. Sorry.
Also, Rob Thomas endorses this band.
Yeah, Rob Thomas.
I was with you guys the day that happened, like the day of meeting you guys.
That's
Rob
right.
Thomas,
We were just jazzed.
It was
We
so
were
funny.
jazzed. Tyler literally woke us up. We were all like asleep in the hotel.
Yeah. And he's like, guys, you're not going to believe this.
As loud as Tyler was being loud though. He's like, Rob fucking Thomas.
Yeah, he made us his
this shit.
Yeah, he made us his song of the day for some day, and I don't know, I guess it was October or November or something.
We all woke up though. We were like, let's fucking go.
Everyone just woke up immediately screaming. Yeah, it was...
I heard he mostly mentioned how much he likes Jake's guitar parts.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
Oh man.
Need to put that on our like one sheet.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That should be just like a sticker on your record. Like, Rob Thomas.
Oh man, that's a good sticker actually.
We've actually been, me and our manager Tony have been joking about how funny it is that we could just like every time someone introduces us, we just make them say that, and it gets funnier and funnier the further out. It's like, you know, October 27th, 2022, Rob Thomas's song of the day. You know, like it's still part of our press in like 2027 or something.
Oh my God.
That's when you know you'll made it, if that's still the headline blurb.
Yeah, it's good.
I did have a moment where I was like, wait, which one's Rob Thomas again?
Yeah, Jake also didn't know shit about popular
90s music
culture.
90s music.
That's right.
I remember you talking about that too that day, of just like, I don't really know who Matchbox 20 is that much.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal.
Name one song, Jake.
What if Rob listens to this?
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm really sorry, honestly. I'll learn to do better.
Matchbox 20 song.
Is this like the meme of somebody wearing a Carhartt jacket and you're like, name 5 construction sites?
Yeah, but do it. Stop stalling.
Yeah, you're stalling. You're waffling right now.
I don't know any Matchbox 20 songs.
Wow.
God damn.
Wait, that's not the same guy who sings Smooth, right?
It is.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's him. That's not a Matchbox 20
That's
song.
a
That's
song.
a
Matchbox 20
Santana song.
Yeah.
And it's 7 Grammy award winning.
Award winning.
Speaking of awards, you were talking about Austin Awards. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
That's how we got here.
So
Speaking of Rob Thomas, Smooth,
Speaking
and
of
the
Rob
Grammys,
Thomas naming us
yeah. Let's talk about Austin, Texas.
So Rob Thomas named you Austin's best rock and roll.
yeah. Rob Thomas, who's probably barely ever stepped foot in Austin.
Wow, don't do Rob like that.
Why are you doing him dirty? Like,
Yeah.
he's spent plenty of
Jake,
time.
I'm trying to get Rob Thomas on this podcast. Just so I can talk to him about good looks.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not saying you're crazy, but you might be a little unwell.
Don't push me around.
Yeah, don't push me.
Oh wait, I don't get it.
Those are Matchbox 20 lyrics.
okay.
Guys, it's 3 a.m. I gotta go.
No, we got nominated and won this award, and our label wanted to put together. The award ceremony asked for the label that we're on to put together like a family band of like members from a few different bands, and I was the Good Looks representative. And initially, they were like wanting to cover a Good Looks song, and so I ended up singing Almost Automatic on stage. And there was this moment where I was looking at the lyrics and I was like, I did not realize this is what Tyler said in this song.
Yeah.
I knew what the song was about, but it's a part where he's like, you got trouble written on you, Lindsay. It's so clear. Me and Harrison both thought it said you've got trouble written on your lenses.
Dang, he's throwing you in the water.
Sorry, Harrison.
No.
I did. I mean, it makes sense. There, it's West Texas. The sun's going down. You gotta wear.
You got
some
sunglasses
shades.
on.
You gotta have
Yeah.
some lenses on.
Yeah. And it's like, it felt, oh.
No. Just listen to the fucking song.
That's right.
Listen to the lyrics.
Phil's trying real hard to be on Tyler's best.
That's
song.
Well, and
amazing.
the worst part about it too is that on Spotify the lyrics are there
Yeah.
underneath it, and it's never even.
I don't want to beat this subject to death if it's like an exhausting subject, but it was the night of your album release show, Jake, that you had your accident.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, how that impacted all of your guys' relationships, having, I don't know, evolved things maybe in your band, or just showed you the importance of what y'all were doing together, or just like the friendships in the band. I would imagine that kind of made you look at things a little bit
Yeah, I mean, it was
differently.
It was pretty selfish of Jake to go get hit by a car
On your album
the day
release
before
night.
tour. Well, we had to cancel everything.
I will say it's been at least with the accident, it's been like a weird to have it happen as everything was kind of happening with the band, and how nuclear like the record went and the story went about the accident in tandem. It was like obviously it was like an incredibly, I felt very like privileged and fortunate to have the support that I got, right? But I think the weirdest part that's happened since then, at least, has been like with my healing process and like coordinating with the band initially with like a brain that's like kind of going a bit sideways. We recorded our second record in July, right?
Well, we started it in July.
We started in July.
Yeah.
And I was just like haywire still. I mean, we basically started going back at it when my doctors gave me the go to like, because I had like hearing damage from it.
Okay.
And I couldn't turn on my amps for like 2 months. And so once we got that going, I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
But then
That didn't have to do with the ear thing. It had to do with the head injury.
Oh, well, right,
yeah.
right.
They you weren't allowed to play like amplified music.
Yeah.
And it was connected to just loud noise, I think was the where they were worried about the head injury.
That's right. You're right about that. Yeah. Tyler was also very present throughout this entire process.
I sat through a lot of doctors, I don't know, appointments or
Yeah,
whatever,
Tyler, my
visits or
mom.
whatever.
Yeah.
That must have been scary to feel like maybe you were losing that part of this thing that you love to do?
No, I'm very accident prone, and so I felt like kind of old hat at first. Honestly, the thing that like really phoned it in or not phoned it in. I keep saying that. The thing that really like brought it home was when I had experienced PTSD for the first time. That was like a whole new, like I never.
Yeah.
And that's been like the biggest struggle, for me at least. And it actually happened last night. When we were about to leave. I think you made your way back out last night. But there was like
some car just like kind of.
Well, yeah, it was a big old diesel with a supercharger that went off, and it was like right next to me when it went off, and it just went shh.
Yeah,
and it scared the piss out of anybody, but I grew up in the country. So it's like, I'm like a race car family. And so it's like, having that happen was like took me out for a second.
Yeah, for sure. Was it pretty revitalizing for you all then to like be back in the room playing music together and being finally preparing to go out on the road with this record that had gained some attention during that time as well?
Oh, I mean, I think for me it was like that first show back playing Kerrville was like kind of the moment. It was like, okay, like it was kind of like the go ahead moment of like, all right, we're going to get back on it.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to talk on the mic for a while, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we did take the mic away for a while. He was saying some crazy shit though.
I was really saying some wild stuff. Well, but that's the thing.
Brain don't work no good.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing we played. Oh, sorry.
Just no filter is what it was.
There was no filter.
Those opinions were coming in hot.
They were coming real hot.
Angry.
Yeah, I was like the angriest I'd ever been, honestly.
He was he would start talking shit about other bands and stuff like on stage, and we're like,
oh, beautiful.
No.
Wait, I don't remember that.
That's not how we feel.
I don't want to mention which band it was.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
It was Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20. Yeah. No, I remember like it too, like at the comeback show was at the Kerrville Folk Festival where Tyler and I like initially met and made a bunch of memories at, and it was at the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Tyler like held on to it. We canceled everything else, but he like held on to that one to make sure that I like was gonna be able to make it.
Yeah, there was like a window between the accident and that show that was like, all right, we'll see how his progress is, and it remarkably got.
It was 2 months afterwards. Like that's insane.
Yeah,
That's wild.
That he had a traumatic brain injury, a skull fracture, and like played the show 2 months later is nuts.
It was pretty nuts.
Seems like once I got out of the hospital, I like recovered a lot faster than people were anticipating too. It seemed like
that's true.
I really got fortunate.
Yeah.
My butt grew 2 sizes though. That was the thing. I actually had a butt for once. It looked good, and then that went away.
Is that what we want to talk about?
Yeah, that's great.
It was so full of pus and infection that it grew. It grew 2 sizes. He had a second hospital trip.
Yeah, I did have a second.
Where they took like a liter of fluid out of your ass.
2 liters.
2 liters. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I felt
Absolutely disgusting.
Accomplishment.
I felt like I was in like
Did you see it?
No, I mean I saw his ass.
He saw my butt cheeks.
Yeah.
For our Christian.
It was huge.
Yeah. The doctor didn't like come out of a back room with like 2. Like mason jars, like full
Francia,
of
like a bag of Francia.
Yeah,
slap in the bag.
It's like your boy's gonna be all right.
That's gross.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the hospital the second time around longer. I kept just looking at the the University of Texas football stadium the entire every day. I was like, am I in Plato's Allegory of the Cave right now?
You were there longer the second time.
Yeah,
it was like almost twice as long.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Driving west, we were searching for the sun. 'Cause when you search, it seems like you're on the run. And when you're running, the demons always at your back. They're gonna find you no matter where you're at. Face the horizon, fate is arriving. Can't see the dawn
Can we talk about Robert's departure from the band, his impact, and what made y'all want to bring Harrison into the mix?
Well, just to start with, kind of what happened with Robert, this thing kind of like started really rolling hard last year. I think it was just everything got a lot busier than we really expected. I think before we put the record out, we were kind of anticipating like a couple of weeks of touring here and a couple of weeks there. But once we added a booking agent, things just kind of got rolling, and all of a sudden we were doing, we did 2 month-long tours at the end of last year, which was just more than anyone had kind of anticipated. And Robert just, has a more, I don't know how to say it, just like, he's a lawyer and has just more financial responsibilities and can't really be on the road as much as we need to be. And so at some point, Robert just, came to me and said, hey, you don't need me to start saying no to shows. You guys really need to be out there. And I think I have to kind of step back from it. So really, it was a very, we're really grateful for how easy kind of the transition has been in some ways, just with like, I think in other situations with people that weren't as close or as good of friends or as good a person as Robert was, that could be a really challenging conversation to have, or it might have been something that we, that was a problem and then had to be hashed out. But Robert was just so gracious in how he handled the whole situation, and really ultimately cares about the success of the band. And he stayed on as our lawyer and part of the planning team. And then Harrison sort of entered the picture. I've known Harrison for a while, but he was, really tight with Jake, and we were kind of looking for someone to fill in a little bit for Robert so that he wouldn't have to be gone so much. So Harrison kind of started as, a temporary kind of replacement on some of these runs last year, and then he was the logical choice to go to just because we love his playing and he's easy to tour with and a great dude. And so it kind of just all lined up really perfectly.
Yeah. You come into this thing as a fan of what these guys were doing already.
Easy. Yeah. Fan in the band. That record came out and I was a fan of Tyler. It's funny to say your name, but Tyler Jordan in the Negative Space.
Okay.
Back in the day, which was the band before the name change. I remember seeing them around town. And then, when this Good Looks record came out, especially those first 2 singles, it was Almost Automatic and Vision Boards. I just was really affected by those songs, and they hit me really hard. And I remember showing them to my partner in the car, and she said, "You know them?" Which I think is a sweet testament to how good the music is.
Yeah.
But I got the call from Jake. I remember I was about to take my nap.
You better take your nap.
I take a nap every day.
After work.
Yeah, after work, take a nap, and then I get ready to go out into the nightlife.
Yeah. It's a good move.
Get ready for round 2. Yeah.
Harrison's like, give me a second. I'm gonna take a nap first.
Yeah. So
let me sleep on it.
So Jake, I think you had called me, but then you had sent a text being like, I need to ask you about something. And I was like, okay. So clearly I have to take this call.
Yeah.
Where I think I usually would avoid calls when it's nap time. And then he proposed, it first started as just like, can you fill in for this run of shows? It's in 2 weeks. And I was like, whoa, okay. Let me take this nap. Let me sleep on it to decide. And I woke up, and after I woke up, made a coffee, I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's an easy yes. And so, but it started as just filling out some shows last year. I did a couple runs, and it's been full time starting this year.
Yeah.
As far as implementing yourself into the live show, was it pretty easy for you to just want to learn the parts the way that they were already written for you, or was there some freedom there?
I definitely stayed true to how a lot of the parts were. Robert honestly was very kind because
sent him a whole video series.
Yeah. Oh, with these.
Oh, that's amazing.
He sent these hilarious tutorials with really just funny commentary on the songs and like kind of what was going on. He's like, yeah, and then Jake's making some noise during this part, so you just hold down this for a while, and then it's like it's in 21. He's like, and I don't really know how many counts it is, but you'll hear Phil do this. Phil does a Phil with the Phil, and then you'll know to go into this part. It was really sweet. It's just because it was 2 weeks before having to just like jump in a van with these guys, and I've known Jake for a long time.
Yeah.
And I knew Tyler, but I did not know Phil at all, and I really don't think I knew you that well, Tyler. Like just some small talk at a bar.
True.
But
yeah, because I mean, I stay home a lot. I'm hard to get to know too. Like I kind of stand in the corner, and I'm not a big drinker, so not a lot of social lubricant there.
I hear you. I'm with you on that.
High anxiety.
I have friends that are like, yeah, I really want to get to meet Tyler. I really want to get to talk to him, but it feels like he doesn't.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
Get in line, pal.
You used to be the shotgun king.
That's right. Yeah,
Tyler is still a shotgun king. There's like no defeating it. He just won't. Nobody has to challenge him.
That's right. Well, the belt, it remains because I'm not participating anymore. But eventually they might take it away.
Tyler like literally has like a void in his like stomach or something. I don't know. I've never seen somebody like destroy like a beer so quickly. It's like 2 seconds and it's 16-ounce can of Lone Star's gone.
Tall boy.
Yeah,
I could do. We on that last tour, on the 2017 tour, on the last night, we were like, every time we stopped, we were like shotgunning a beer, but then we'd have to stop more because we kept shotgunning beers, and then I got Anastasia to like shotgun monsters with me too. We shotgunned 2 monsters.
I have a photo.
Oh,
of you guys
man.
doing
It's
that.
disgusting.
Oh,
It was a
that
really
must
bad
have
hangover.
I feel like that would have produced some anxiety. Just like, oh man.
Well, the alcohol kept drinking, so it was fine.
Yeah, you're pushing away the anxiety, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man, that you got to enter as like somebody that like these songs were having an impact on you when you were listening to them, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side of it and on the stage playing the jams.
Yeah, it happened really fast too, because that record had come out and I already loved the record, and then it was like before the full album had come out, I was already filling in on some dates, which was you couldn't ask for anything better as this like band's having all this success and rise to instantly kind of grab some coattails and just ride it.
Yeah.
He's the Henry Rollins of our band.
Do you now that you've had like a lot of time to play shows and do some more extensive touring, how do you feel like that has kind of like shaped the band moving forward and getting, your live show intact, or just feeling good about that? And has that kind of like shaped how the songwriting moving forward from the Bummer Year record?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're a machine right now. It feels really tight on stage. I mean, we played a lot this month. We played True False Fest in the beginning of the month, and then we were home and played 8 shows during South by Southwest, and now we're up here doing this. So we're in a really good place as far as just everything feels really good. The next record, a lot of those songs are already written. That song, that album is already recorded, and I'm not going to say I'm going through a dry spell. I think I'm just there. It's been so busy, and I just haven't been writing a ton, but we've been working on a couple of new songs, and it feels I guess that one feels really good right now. And yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling positive about the future.
The Sega and Nintendo song.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right on. Well, I appreciate y'all giving me some of your time, getting to hang out with you all.
Thank you so much.
Boise, back in Boise. This is the only place I see good looks.
That's right.
Is in Boise, Idaho. I will never see you in another city. I will only come here.
Okay, well that's good. It works for. I mean, it's further from us than it is for you. So
that is true.
What are you? 6 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, we're 26, so no big deal.
It's a few more, but
but who's counting? Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Same.
This is super fun, and I want to play the episode out with the title track to Bummer Year.
That's one of those tracks. It must be cool since you wrote all those songs so long ago, it must be cool to kind of see how they have stood the test of time and how they just continue to speak to what's happening. I feel like around us it was really impressive to find out that you had written those songs to me like a couple years or a few years before they actually came out.
Yeah. It definitely feels it's really cool. Just it also feels like a different person, because they are such personal stories and it's a moment in time. Like they're pictures of that time period, and I'm just so different now that it's kind of neat to relive that human.
Yeah.
But
well, I just appreciate the hell out of your take on things and your way to find words for them. So,
man, thank you so much.
Yeah. And the live show's killing too. It was great to get to see you guys play last time I was here. And
why do you look at Jake when you say that?
Well, I just want Jake to know that I notice his guitar playing.
Okay.
And I'm hoping I get to see y'all play and see Harrison play with you guys. So
yeah, tonight.
Hell yeah.
I'll put all the links in the episode notes so people can keep up with you, and if they are a fan of what they heard here, they can find that record on vinyl. I have one of those, which is great, and they can stream it wherever people listen to music. And we end every episode of the podcast with the guest saying the tagline for the show, which is "It's a program." So if we could get the good looks, it's a program. We can properly sail it out. It means nothing. It's just a goofy way that my grandfather says the news program. He says program. And it's just,
I was about to ask. It's like, wait, what exactly are you saying?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just program with a U.
It's a program.
Yeah,
Program.
exactly.
Yeah,
so
This has been Good Looks, and it's a program.
they nailed it, everybody. Good looks from Austin, Texas. All the links are in the episode notes. We're playing it out with that title track from Bummer Year, and that is the Jelly Jams, and we will catch you on the flip side. Treefort, Austin, Portland, wherever you are listening from.
All my friends from high school, they all bought motorcycles, joined up with a bike gang, supported Donald Trump. I don't think they're evil, even when they're awful. Not totally class conscious, but ultimately good. 'Cause they're the kind of people you'd want with you in a bar fight, even when you caused it, 'cause you talk too much shit. Or when you got a flat tire somewhere out in Jones Creek, here they come a-racing in some stupid jacked up truck. Take me to the beach, shooting fireworks, feed me crawfish, trick your cousin into buying beer. 'Cause lately I've been struggling, I've been failing, mostly drowning. I could use a friend to get me out of here. That's different than an owner, and you ain't got the dollars now to make this turn out right. No matter who you vote for, conservative or liberal, through piles of goddamn money, your voice don't make a sound. Our strength is in our numbers, in the streets is where we show them. You force someone to listen to you when they're fucking scared.
Hey, just want to give a big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this episode of the podcast and for their longtime support of this thing. Don't forget to find that discount link in the episode notes or in my Instagram bio. 30% off your first year membership with DistroKid, helping you get your music in all the places it needs to be. And big thanks to Drops for making some of my favorite edibles in the game, keeping me fine-tuned with their gummies, whether THC heavy or CBD heavy. Great for stress and solid sleep. Find them at your favorite local dispensary. Appreciate the support. More info on Drops in the episode notes as well. Stay up, stay tuned.